Hey, what's up, guys? Real quick, man. I really want to give a look to, and I'm still looking at this. I'm still learning about this analog horror. The first time I heard this, Andy Nowicki was going over some horror movie he saw. He was bringing up analog horror, and uh, I was, I didn't know that this was an actual genre, but a extremely DIY genre that exists pretty much only on, I guess you'd say, the internet, YouTube, but I'm sure other platforms, video platforms, kind of like the survival horror is like pretty much only in the video game genre. And this is, I don't know how to describe this. They're, they are kind of like, if you remember back in the day, you used to have like the time and temperature, right? You used to have uh, when the broadcast day would end. Remember, they used to have the national anthem. You'd have the test pattern for like 2 hours in the middle of the night. You would have all kinds of, obviously, the Weather Channel was an early example of that. In terms of like the kind of funny music, PSAs, which I mentioned, right? The infamous PSAs that nobody listened to. Um, it's just an interesting genre, also because the creators of this are millennials. They didn't grow up with this that I can think of. Us Gen Xers would be more familiar with this, so this is almost like mysterious and strange to them. The glitches, the VHS, all the things I had mentioned that they never experienced before cable. Um, and these horror films, let's say, they're done on computers. There's footage mixed in, but there's no real actors. There's a few people you may see here and there, and obviously the voiceovers, but most of these stories are not. There's no actors in it. Talk about DIY. One person could do all this, you know. Also, you have very creepy atmosphere. Okay? Very clever too, because you're telling stories or narratives. I guess they're not really stories. You're telling narratives that immediately go into a surreal area. Something that's is normal at the beginning and then becomes not quite right. Right? The thing that should not be happens. And many of these things are, there seems to be a whole mythos behind this. There's literally 2 hour videos of young millennials explaining what these series means, because they're very cryptic too. The creators are very mysterious with it. They don't really, some of them are not even known. They have pseudonyms, right? I know what that's like. But also they have they don't really talk, they don't really do interviews or whatever, so they keep the mysterious aspect of it, and you start to see in these things that there's truly what you would say cosmic horror in them. So this is probably one of the best known ones, Local 58, but there's a few other. I gotta say that usually Wikipedia could be less than useless, but for this analog horror format, the wiki page actually is pretty good. It gives you the kind of like the good ones to start with, and there's literally hundreds of these. And like I said, filmmaking with no actors. I guess you know, I guess I kind of use puppets and whatnot to make up for what the deficiencies and resources I have. But these also are very popular, man. These have millions of views. Anyway, enough of me yapping. I'll just go through a couple. I'm just gonna show them. I don't know if there's copyright involved or whatever, but check these out, man. I'm a damn Gen Xer, young Gen Xer, but I'm impressed by this, and we remember this stuff for real. So anyway, and Gemini Home Entertainment. This is a really good one too. Essentially, they're like they're PSA VHS, so they're sort of giving you advice. And from what I read, the first one's really creepy, and it was done, like I said, there were some actors in it, but you only saw them like from a long shot running around, and you saw their shadows as much as you saw them. I thought these might be just one-offs, but they're not. Let me get away from this. A PSA for voting. We got an election next Tuesday. Am I gonna vote? I guess you'll find out. But the video is here. Apparently there is a you see that there is a kind of like the first one, world's weirdest animals. You start watching it, you're kind of like, what the hell is this? Right? But then it really becomes like, as the music changes, it really starts to become something else. And apparently there is a linked story. There's some kind of alien invasion, but these aliens are kind of in the realm of Lovecraftian aliens, which a lot of these are about. These are extremely cosmic and Lovecraftian as well. That's why I think these things are brilliant. And also, like I said, they're not that long too. You're not watching like, I mean, the videos where the fan videos where they discuss these series are like 2 hours, but the actual clips, segments, as you can see, they're not that long. Okay, here's another producer here, Mr. Manticore. See, I like that they have pseudonyms, right? And there's a bunch of videos here, but he's known for this one, the Monument Mythos. Like they have seasons, right? The Monument Mythos. I just started watching this. This is crazy. Now, like I said, in terms of the historicism, that's like my middle name, right? But the Monument Mythos is like this alternate American history where apparently James Dean became the president, and all the monuments that you have in the world are essentially like Lovecraftian creatures. And you have all the politics and the battles and all kinds of weird, creepy sort of things. Things, I know. Yeah, things essentially. Kind of like little documentaries on what happened. You have like the Suez Canal thing, of course. Dean. You have an invasion of like Sphinx from Mars. You have all kinds of bizarre sort of things, saying that the history is very sinister, which is right up my alley. And of course, like I said, it's done mostly with footage, a little bit of weird puppetry, a lot of voiceovers, like interviewing people. Now, of course, the one weakness that you're gonna have is like when you hear the guys talk back in the day, we talk like this, right? You hear the guys, the CIA operations in the Gulf, right? You hear something like that. Obviously, the younger people producing this, they don't sound entirely convincing as, like, let's say, I don't know, the head of the FBI in 1958 or something. But it doesn't, it's fine. What they're doing, it does create this creepy, weird, surreal. And I always said, in terms of the other aspect of horror, the surrealist aspect of horror is very well represented along with the cosmic. Okay, with almost no actors or production values. And so the DIY thing is continued to its extreme. And yeah, this is great. Okay, this one I have not seen yet, but I hear about it. The Mandela Catalog by this gentleman here. I don't know if that's his real name or not, but very similar. Also an idea of aliens or so, but you don't find that out until later, and you have sort of this weird. It's mixed in with a lot of religious imagery. If that works or not, I don't know. I haven't seen this, but apparently a lot of it has to deal with doppelganger aliens, the possibility of just that all your religious icons were something else. Like I said, I haven't seen this yet, but this seems to have quite a following. So I don't know what to degree of. Well, I've seen it. See, this uses a lot more photos of people at the very least. I don't know if they're actually acting, or probably the creator's friends. So I thought that was interesting. But like I said, I have not checked this out yet. But this is one of the big ones. This is the one that always gets mentioned. Quick, this one, Backrooms. This is another analog horror sort of thing. And as you can see, there's as many videos about this analog horror as there are. Yeah, look at this. You got friggin' look at this, 1.7 million views. This kid, it's like a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 17-minute thing just on a crazy analog horror. This thing here, Backrooms, which is started on 4chan, I guess. Us old guys can't believe some of this stuff, and there's like a whole thing here. I think it's fascinating. The thing too with analog horror is one of the people made a good point that in a way they're kind of like video games in terms of they have clues in them, like a mystery, but they're almost like a video game that you watch, but you don't really play it directly, but you try to figure out clues, and it's sort of more interactive in between like a game. Look at that. What the hell is that? Okay, and it's linked. There's tons of these make your own video game things that people do with this horror, and horror is seems to be a big analog horror style and horror in general, PS1 style seems to be big with these homemade video games that people are working on. So I don't have time to play video games, dude. But if I did, I would like those would be the ones I probably would be interested in playing. So next to the Atari games, of course. If you are interested in, this is a good example of it, a good overview video. The iceberg, one of these iceberg videos, as these young millennials or I think even Zoomers call this, an hour and a half. Oh my God, what are you crazy? But I like here, whoever this was, I guess one of the comments, they give you a good list here of all these different, not just analog horror, but also they have like, right, the WNUF Halloween special, which I saw at Rue Morgue. And also the Max Headroom hijacking, if you remember that from the 80s. Remember that? They made a show from this weird thing that had happened in Canada. So, and it's a good resource if you want to check it out. Check out this guy's channel. This guy, man, this got 1.4 million views. Oh, man. This one, is a little shorter than that other one. And it gives a good overview of the analog horror also. So if you're like us old folks, you know, we after like 20 minutes we start to fall asleep, right? But it's a good overview. Also, maybe a shorter one. And the guy who made the video, he admits that he had a hand in some of these series, but he brings up like the ones that I have shown too. Just check them out. You may not like them. I don't know. I think they're pretty creative for what they are. They are spooky. They are creepy. Maybe they're not terrifying, but they are definitely in the realm of the cosmic, the atmospheric, the throwback, the retro, the stuff that, like I said, we Gen Xers remember all this stuff. And it's just something to check out. I was very impressed. DIY, man. That's you can make the next, you make the horror, right? Also, and just a quick round out, as like I like to say, I mean, I may have missed it. I obviously, you see me reading the mainstream horror magazines, and the ones that should be covering this stuff, unless I missed an article, which is possible, but I don't think so. I haven't heard Rue Morgue or Fango or anybody really talk about this genre at all. Okay, you want to talk about cutting edge, the kids making stuff and putting it out there and getting views, getting lots of fans, cult, subculture movement, all the things that the supposedly corporate rebel bourgeois people of these things would go for. I haven't heard them cover this. I had to find this out from Andy Nowicki just talking about something else. Very interesting. Very interesting. The real cutting edge horror is not even, you wouldn't know it exists if you follow those rags, the corporate rags. Interesting. Anyway, I'm out. I got more to do, believe it or not. This Halloween is like forever. Later.